Hi, my name's Dr. Anthony Weller and I'm an integrated GP here at ATUNE, and thank you very much for joining us today. I'm joined by Dean O'Rourke, who's our breathing therapist here at ATUNE, and we're focusing on our SHAPE model: sleep, hydration, air, alliance, preventative activities, eating and exercise. And funnily enough, having Dean with us at the moment, we're focusing on air. And I think that this is an area that's commonly overlooked. We kind of presume that we're breathing, therefore we're breathing fine. And when we compare that to established benchmarks, we often find that we're falling short. We've talked previously about things to look out for in a little quiz, and not just in terms of during the daytime, but when we sleep as well, maintaining good airway and good functional breathing, both when we're awake and when we're asleep.
Absolutely.
And I wanted to explore a bit more about sleep and sleep quality. And remember, that's one of our fundamentals as well, under its own heading of S for sleep, because it's just so critical. Sleep plays a huge role in our physical health, in our mental health, in our overall well-being. And I don't know about you guys, but I myself, even after one poor night's sleep, you feel that. You feel that the next day as you're going through. So if it's a chronic condition, you can see how we're getting one step behind instead of one step ahead. I really wanted to explore this from a functional breathing point of view, and have a look at how are we achieving our sleep? What are the barriers to that? What can we do to it? You'll find that a lot of questionnaires incorporate this. The one that jumps to mind is your driving medical. For those that have to go through a driving medical, they very quickly assess what's your sleep quality like, because if it goes badly and it's affecting your performance, if you're handling machinery, if you're doing driving, you can see how that can turn into a potentially life-threatening situation very quickly. But there are other ways that it can actually slowly build up to a life-threatening situation as well if we leave it untreated. And so I think that this is worthwhile exploring a bit more. So the first question is, what goes into achieving better sleep as some general principles then?
Well, I think what needs to be understood a lot more, I think, across the community is your daytime habits. What you're doing the whole time you're awake will have an impact on what happens when you try to go to sleep, and sleep quality. So there are critical things that people need to get right on a daily basis as a habit. So, do you get enough hydration whilst you're awake? Do you get some physical activity whilst you're awake? Do you breathe functionally all day long whilst you're awake? Are you using medications, and if so, are you using them correctly? Is there other drug use that you have going on in your life? Are you suffering any pain? There's multiple things that can affect sleep, but I think a lot of people think it's all about what happens when I try to go to bed. There's so many factors, and those factors are all the wake factors. Screens are another big one. How much time we're spending in front of screens, whether or not we're using them functionally, because there's a way to use them functionally and not. And particularly post-dinner, I think post-dinner habits in the lead up, amount of time you're spending on screens after dinner, whether or not you're preparing for sleep or burning the lights till late, staying on screens till late, maybe getting into arguments, things like that. Every little habit we have, or every little factor throughout our wakeful hours is going to have an impact. And we're awake a lot longer than we're asleep. So they're the key things.
We often think about the obvious things that detract from our sleep. So if there's a lot of stressors going on during the day, we think of what's happening with our partner. Does our partner have their own conditions that might impact on our sleep? If we've got to get up to go to the toilet, I know is quite a common thing for people that we know leads to broken sleep.
Absolutely.
But how can we assess if we've had a good night's sleep for somebody who doesn't have those obvious detractors from sleep?
I think how you feel when you first wake up. Do you have a dry mouth, or is it moist? Do you have some instant feeling like you want to get up, that there's some energy there when you wake up, or does it take a while to get going? Do you feel rested? Do you feel like you've actually slept? So many clients that have come to me say, I just don't feel like I've slept.
Yes.
They're key things. Do you wake up ready for the day? Do you feel refreshed? Is your nose clear? They're the key indicators. And also I've noticed too, facial inflammation. If people are really sort of puffy in the morning,
Yes.
I think that can be an indicator that they're struggling overnight as well. So if you can wake up and you look relatively normal, say what you look like a few hours later, if you're looking like that upon waking, I think that's a good sign as well.
Yeah.
I think they're key indicators.
I think there are some things that I tend to see as well about that, if my children have had a poor sleep and they say that they've been irritable at school the next day, I can get irritable if I haven't had a good sleep
it's a good
as well.
indicator as well.
And if you're feeling like you need to try and catch up on sleep regularly
daytime
as well,
napping.
is one that we tend to see for.
Yeah.
I think that the awareness around, again, it's that baseline, we must be breathing fine.
Mm-hmm.
But if we've gone through and we've thought, well, actually my breathing isn't as good as what I think when I'm thinking about it, what can we do about it? And this is where I wanted to bring you in to say, what can we do here at ATUNE to help people, especially from a sleep point of view?
Yeah. Well, basically what we want to look at here at ATUNE, our sleep clinic focuses on these key areas of habit, on these key indicators that sleep is maybe not where it should be. We do a very comprehensive checklist of symptoms to see what symptoms are being suffered and to what severity. We want to be able to pre and post check on those things as well, so that it's a measurable process. And the other thing we want to take a good look at is the person's wakeful breathing pattern, because we've found a strong correlation between the person's breathing habit when they're awake and what happens when they're asleep. So we want to make sure that they're breathing functionally awake in various circumstances to get a good idea as to what extent maybe their daytime factors, including their breathing habit, has on whether or not they're going to get a quality sleep on a regular basis.
I hope you found that useful from our side. The message that comes across, of course, is you see that interplay that's going through functional breathing interacting with sleep, sleep interacting with our activities of daily living. This foundational lifestyle prescription is a really, really important area that we can optimise, get ourselves one step ahead instead of one step behind.
Absolutely.